Hi there, lovely, and welcome to Let's Chat. I'm Rhonda Crimes, and I'm a certified life and leadership coach and trainer for everyday women just like you who are tired of being people-pleasing good girls, or who I prefer to call super givers. I'm here to do all I can to guide and support these beautiful super givers in my community to be able to use their voice, make their stand, and live their life their way. If that sounds like something you'd like to know more about, keep listening and don't be shy to reach out and take advantage of my offers and invitations for one-to-one and group coaching, training and mentoring opportunities, where together we'll curiously explore what is most important for you to stand for, to compassionately encourage you to speak your truth and to courageously live your life aligned to your heart's desire, with confidence and without guilt. In this episode, let's chat about looking for the hidden gifts inside adversity. Now, I know this can feel hard or even downright impossible when we're in the thick of it, living through every moment as the health of someone we love is failing, trying to make ends meet when interest rates take another step up, searching helplessly for supplies on supermarket shelves made empty by the hoarders and stalled supply chains, managing the pain, discomfort, and difficulties of broken bones. But you know what? I have lived through each of these hard times, and I have found hidden gifts from all of them. It's not about finding rainbows and unicorns. It's about finding something that shows me, while enduring this adversity, I have come through it with a degree of growth that I wouldn't have otherwise. Now, I am an optimist. I have no clue if this is by nature or nurture, probably a combo of both, but I do think it can be learned. I'm also quite pragmatic, so in my opinion, it also makes sense to find a gift rather than stay stuck. So I've distilled this into 4 aspects for you that I'd love to share to support you finding your own gifts. Firstly, we need to allow some time to pass. This is something I have tried to consciously integrate into my life since I first read about optimizing the space between stimulus and response. When something happens or is happening more chronically, like watching the failing health of someone you love, use the pauses. In fact, make them last as long as you need to process and to sit in the emotional dysregulation. I know for me, watching my vibrant, funny and lovable mum be taken by Alzheimer's slowly over 12 years wasn't easy. Every time I visited her, there was another piece of her personality missing, and I couldn't do anything about it. It was really shitty, and I'd be left thinking, where are the gifts in this? And in those emotionally charged moments, they stayed hidden. But then I'd take some time to use the pause to reflect, and slowly something would emerge, like how my tolerance for the looping conversations grew. I learnt how to distract and move on rather than engage and be swallowed up inside their spiral. I grew so much closer to my sister, who actually bore the brunt of many more visits than me. Together, we learned how to leave our egos at the door and put mum's needs above our own, as she forgot who people were and what her relationship to us was. That wasn't what was important anymore. She needed to simply feel loved by the people coming to visit, not to be relentlessly quizzed and rated on what she did or didn't remember. We learned to live in her now, however that looked and sounded. The second aspect I want to share is that the gift needn't always be completely life-changing. It can be small and seemingly insignificant. but it's still counted as a gift if we receive it with gratitude for what it brings us. I was thinking about interest rates after seeing a post about how they keep rising. And I remember just how tough that can be. My husband and I bought our first home together when I was 6 months pregnant with our first child in 1988. I was working casually, he full-time, and we had borrowed extensively for both the deposit and the mortgage. There was no nest egg other than the one in my belly. When we bought our house, the interest rates were around 6 or 7%, and then they spiked to over 17% in 2 years. That was tough. I remember having to make decisions on who, how, and when bills were paid every week. Back then, we paid our interest monthly. So in those weeks, often the grocery money was tanked to meet the mortgage commitment. Now, even while we were living through this, it didn't feel like we would go completely under. We lived a simple life, and mostly within our means. But it did mean that there were some hard conversations around money. My husband was a cash man, raised to believe if you didn't have the cash for it, you couldn't buy it. And that was okay until you needed to buy formula for your hungry baby, or put fuel in your car to go to the doctors or do the grocery run. And there just isn't any cash. So one of the hidden gifts in this adversity for me was the credit facility offered by the chemist and the fuel station. I was completely grateful to them for letting me make purchases and then pay them off as quickly and completely as I could during this rough patch. The third aspect is let everything be okay. When we are living in the adversity, our brains kick in and we try to think our way out. This leads to projecting what I could do and ruminating over what I should have done scenarios. This letting everything be okay is in itself a gift and was offered to me on repeat during the COVID lockdowns as goods and services were in short supply or simply not available. Who can forget the great toilet paper shortages, or only being allowed 1 or 2 items, even though you actually needed more than that? So when we got our gorgeous dog Dottie in 2018, I decided she should only be fed human-grade food that I would batch cook for her. During the times of the supermarket shortages, I was limited to only being allowed to buy 2 packets of mince, which was exactly the amount I needed for Dottie's food. However, oftentimes I also wanted mince for we humans' food as well. But I was only allowed to buy 2 packets. That was the way it was. I also know that the amount a person suffers in their life is directly related to how much they are resisting the fact that things are the way they are. So in this situation, I could get attached to the forces outside my control and become angry and annoyed that it's not how I want it to be, and thus create my own suffering. Or I could accept that this is the way it is and understand it's not what I'd prefer, but the rule is outside my control. When I run this reframe, the gift is that I become much calmer and clear-headed. In this case, the hidden gift was some out-of-the-box thinking. I realised I could simply take the 2 packs for Dottie out to the car and then go back inside and buy another pack for the humans. The fourth and last aspect I want to cover is perhaps the hardest one of all. The gift doesn't have to be the reason it happened. How often do we try and apply cause and effect to stuff that just happens? If they didn't do that, then I wouldn't have ... If that thing hadn't moved, this wouldn't have ... You get the picture. Then let's take it up a notch. Have you ever said or heard something like, this had to happen so I would know or learn something or other? Which to me is just another way of saying, this shitty thing had to happen so I could get the gift. I don't know about you, but I find that is so very transactional and almost passing judgment or sentence, when sometimes bad stuff happens to good people, which doesn't mean to say that there isn't still a hidden gift. I believe there always is. However, the gift is not the reason it happened. So recently, my son's wrist was dislocated and broken in a series of events within a freak accident. He was given immediate medical aid to realign his wrist and then follow-up surgery to screw and plate the multiple breaks. He was rendered incapable of performing his usual manual duties. Fortunately, it was not his dominant hand. But he was still in pain and feeling incredibly frustrated with his incapacitation. There was also a degree of guilt that he was letting the whole team down during a period of intense growth in the company he worked for. In the weeks that passed and he reflected and assessed, his viewpoint began to change. Sure, he's not able to carry out the duties or be the go-to hero as he had been before the accident. But now he's able to give the office staff time to tap directly into his wealth of knowledge and expertise. He's giving other people the opportunity to learn new tasks that he would otherwise have just handled himself. He is learning to ask for help and not feel less than for it. All of these gifts he has received because of what happened, but they are not the reason it happened. The reason it happened was because a lift with a forklift went badly and his hand got stuck in the wrong spot at the same time. So no, he's not happy it happened at all, but he is grateful to have received these hidden gifts that he would not have seen without it happening. I'd love you to take some time to look for the hidden gifts inside some of your tough patches. And if you'd like some extra help, why not join my annual free 5-day challenge, 2022 Looking Back to Learn. I've included the links in the notes, the comments, or my bio, depending on where you're watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Chat about looking for the hidden gifts inside adversity. And I would be thrilled if you let me help you do that for yourself in the 5-day challenge. Thanks for being here right to the very end of the episode. I hope there were just enough ahas or oh no's to be of value for you. I truly enjoyed chatting with you, and if you did too, can I ask that you share it with friends who would benefit or be interested as well? Also, for more brownie points, could I ask you to leave a comment, either reviewing it, asking for more info, or letting me know you've got other questions or topics you'd like me to cover off? Much love. Till next time.